In the Know, a radio program talking to the newsmakers in Ogle, Lee, DeKalb counties and beyond, keeping you in the know. Here's your host, Charles Van Horn.
Good morning and happy Sunday. Another exciting edition of In the Know. Joining us in studio is Superintendent Tammy Anderson of the DeKalb County Veterans Assistance Commission. Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you here. Before we talk about what a Veterans Assistance Commission does, first off, Tammy, you served our country. What was your experiences and what branch did you serve in?
I served in the Air Force from 83 to 91. It was a great experience. Had a great, vast majority of people that I never knew existed out there that I got to meet.
Yeah. Were you stationed in the U.S., overseas?
In the U.S. with some TDYs.
Very good. So you served in the military. After your military career ended, you went into public service?
I basically kind of did like everybody else that got out of the service. It's like, where do you fit in?
Yeah.
And I ended up being in the car business for quite a while.
I was going to mention cars because typically that's one of the first things people do when they're out of service is they buy a brand new car and then get over their head on payments. So you did that for a while. And let's talk about the DeKalb County Veterans Assistance Commission. First, how did you cross paths with that organization for the first time?
It was a mutual friend that brought their vehicle into the dealership I worked at that also knew the current superintendent, Herb Holderman, at the time and said that there was a position for a veteran service officer available through DeKalb. I should apply. And I did, and thankfully they saw something and said, yep, let's hire her. So...
Much easier than selling used Mitsubishis?
Oh, good God, no, we don't sell Mitsubishis. New. American made.
So the Veterans Assistance Commission, if you're not familiar, is a county government agency dedicated to providing services and helping arrange financial aid for military veterans and their families. And did you even know such an entity existed when you found out about it?
No.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of hard to differentiate because there's so many times people would say, well, you got a VFW VSO, an American Legion VSO, and you got an Illinois State VSO, and a county one. I didn't know there were so many different ones until I got into this. But once I got out, nobody said anything to me about any benefits that I would be available to get. Found out the hard way, the rough way. I had a VSO that did not do a very good job, and I always said if I could get in the position to do that, then I would make sure people don't go through the same thing I did.
And that's what a lot of veterans have talked about is they don't know, first off, what's available to them. And even if they know what is available to them, the process to get those benefits, because it's a government process, can sometimes be anywhere from mildly irritating to infuriating.
Oh, yeah.
and so the Veterans Assistance Commission, your organization is dedicated to connecting veterans to the benefits they not only are entitled to, but definitely deserve.
Yes.
And let's talk about that red tape. You have a number of people who work at your office.
Yes.
And a day-to-day situation, say a new veteran comes in, a resident of DeKalb County, and they have some of their discharge paperwork and the like with them.
Right.
What are some of the questions you ask them, and what are some of the things that they likely are eligible for they didn't realize?
Generally, when we have a veteran that says they want to come in, we ask to make sure that they have their DD-214. They bring that in. There's so much information on there that helps us to kind of narrow it down to them because each veteran is unique, no matter whether they were all in the same unit or not. We look at the DD-214. We look at the time frame. We look to see if there's anything going on. We talk with them. We find out if there was something that happened in the service. There are a lot of things that are popping up that a lot of organizations are fighting the government on to get the government to admit that they exposed us to a lot of things. Then we just start talking with the veteran. And our biggest thing is that, yeah, people can have paper shock. The documents and stuff the VA wants you to fill out is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if they come in and see us, We sit down, we talk, we figure out what's going to work best for them, see what they want to do, and then we just move forward. But we're with them all the way through the process.
The paperwork is where you guys shine. You deal with all the different facets of all the myriad levels of paperwork, more so than the VA. And the VA has their role. The VA does their job. Right. But you guys encompass all of that and then some. Because there's lots of programs sort of on the periphery, right, that veterans are eligible for that they wouldn't know about.
Yes, exactly. There are a lot of different programs. There's a lot of local organizations out there that have programs for veterans. When you're dealing with the VA, I always say this, and everybody that knows me, when you're dealing with the VA, there's always an and, a but, and an or. Mm-hmm. So anytime that's used in there, that can confuse the heck out of you. And the VA is just, it's a government. So they can change your mind on the drop of a dime. They can change a form. They can change what they decide is appropriate and what isn't.
And your organization gets in the trenches and fights those battles.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. With the VA and with other government entities, having to deal with those on a day in, day out basis, it's different than an individual veteran having to fight that battle because you have seen all of those obstacles. You have seen all the potholes in the road between a veteran and their benefits, and you know how to get through those. Yes.
There's always shortcuts.
Yeah.
But there's also the right way of doing it. And if you don't do it the right way, then you're going to have more and more obstacles. The VA purposely wants you to fill out 15 pages for a claim that you don't necessarily need to. And it's very intimidating. So, we get it. While we're talking to them, we're filling out the form. And by the time that we're done talking with them, they're like, oh, you got it already done.
Mm-hmm. Like, and let's really talk about what the benefits are, because this is more than maybe getting a discount on a hearing aid or something like that. You guys have life-impacting and life-changing benefits you're bringing to some of these veterans. Like, give me some examples of some of the things that have really made somebody's life so much easier in response to the time they spent serving the country.
Well, we're seeing a lot right now with the Vietnam vets because there are so many what they call presumptive disabilities. And the presumptives are the ones that the VA says, all right, yes, we admit, by being exposed to Agent Orange and all the herbicides, these are some of the side effects. They've opened up a lot of the locations instead of just Vietnam. So we generally want to get people in to look at that. But what we see the most is a veteran wants to take care of their family. And if their health is going, they want to do what they can. And there are benefits for the veterans. There's also benefits for surviving spouses and also for children under the age of 18. So to say that one veteran can get all this, another veteran could get half of it. It just depends on someone's health, the time that they've served. And the best part of the job is when you can call somebody up and say, guess what? The VA just decided that you're 100% permanent and total, and you are getting a retro payment amount of, say, $50,000.
Yeah, and that's the incredible part about what you guys do is the government doesn't deal with the here and now. The government also deals with 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
What's the furthest back retro you've had something go through?
Back in, I want to say it was 2010, 2011, the VA finally came in and said coronary artery disease, although they hid it under ischemic heart disease. It was now presumptive to Agent Orange exposure. And a lot of veterans who had filed claims prior to that date, there was a short window of time that they would go back to the date of that first claim. And that's generally unheard of. But that one I had that went back to 96.
Wow.
So, and that veteran had received, that was my highest one, was $327,000 in retro pay.
Yeah, and those are that's literally just handed to the veteran.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the incredible part about what you guys do. Because when you think of a local or a community organization and you think of the name Veterans Assistance Commission, you think that you guys have, you'll pay a light bill or you'll drive around in a van and haul somebody to Hines, which you guys can help arrange with lots of stuff like that.
Right. But
that isn't what your focus is. Your focus is connecting veterans with the benefits that they deserve.
The idea behind with the veterans and with the VA healthcare or the compensation or the VA pensions or education, these are items, these are benefits that the veteran has earned, regardless of whether they've left the country or not. They've earned these benefits, and we're here to help make sure that they get them. And each VAC, I believe now we're up to 50 counties in the state of Illinois has a VAC, a Veterans Assistance Commission. The specifics on it, each commission is a little bit different. But when it comes to financial assistance, that's also a little bit different in each of the VACs. But the financial assistance is only for that particular county's veterans. And, you try your darndest to help. You try your darndest to make things a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And if you can do it locally, great. If you can't, then you work with the VA.
Yeah, and if you have a veteran come in from another county, that doesn't preclude them from you guys sorting out the paperwork and steering them in the right direction, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because you want to help. Every veteran deserves the assistance.
It should be that if a veteran calls from another county and says they want to come in and talk to us, we generally will tell them, okay, you have a VAC in your county. Yeah. Here's the phone number. Please contact them. If you're not comfortable or if there's any reason, then you want to call us back, then call us back. One of the things I always tell my veterans is you can sit down and talk with a VSO. If you don't like the VSO, if you don't feel the VSO is doing anything for you, or you just think that this VSO, no, absolutely not, then move on. Yeah. Find another VSO. There are a bunch of us out there.
Yeah. And this organization you guys aren't a federal agency.
No.
Where does your funding come from?
Our funding, most of us comes from a tax levy. So even though we are in county buildings or offices, we are a separate entity. We kind of run with the county, but we answer to our own board. And the county has oversight, but they aren't the ones that get to make the decisions. Our boards do. It just depends on how the counties are set up.
Yeah.
For DeKalb County, with our space, we purchased the suite that's in the community outreach building on Annie Glidden Road. So we're there. Yeah. It's our suite. If we need some help with stuff, then we contact the county. They help us out.
And we'll talk about how to get in contact with you guys and how to find out how to get the assistance you need if you're a veteran. We touched on Vietnam, obviously, Agent Orange, and even those stateside who handled some of that equipment, things like that. Right. There's more modern instances of veterans and soldiers being exposed to things, correct, whether domestically or overseas in Iraq or Afghanistan. And there are benefits available to those individuals as well.
Yes.
How many Afghanistan and Iraq or just stateside soldiers do you see or hear from?
We're seeing more and more. They're starting to realize that there are some things that have happened. The PACT Act just came out within the last year, and that opened up a lot more presumptives for being exposed to the burn pits and being over in the Middle East. There's also the Camp Lejeune water issue. And there are some other bases that, organizations are fighting the government to have them admit that, this water was contaminated here also. If you ask a veteran, most veterans will tell you that every water source on every base is contaminated because they didn't care. Yeah. But there is so much to offer, especially to the ones coming back. Time is of the essence. If you get out of the service, you have for basically the first year, if something is wrong, if you have a medical diagnosis of something, it's more likely than not that we could get it service connected to your time in service. Yeah. After a year, then it makes it more difficult. But I just tell people, come in and talk to us.
Yeah.
Talk to your VACs, because there might be something that works for you, or there might not be. I've always told people, I will be honest with you. You come in, we look, we talk. If I don't think that there's something there, I will tell you, I don't think something's there.
But you can still be in the system, so when something pops up,
yes.
If somebody needs to contact you, or if somebody has a loved one who is going to be getting out of the service soon, how do they find you guys? How do they get signed up?
Throughout the state, there is an organization that we all belong to. It's the Illinois Association of County Veteran Assistance Commissions, and it does list all of the different VACs that are active. But basically, you can go to your county website, and we are listed under veterans mostly, and then you just give a call. And most places will say, come on in, or set up an appointment. Come on down and bring your DD-214, and we'll see what we can do.
And that's how it all starts. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us. Tammy Anderson, Superintendent of the DeKalb County Veterans Assistance Commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this week's In the Know. The program returns next week at this time with another great conversation with someone from your community.